Hey everyone, welcome to the What's New edition of welcome to the November edition, of What's New in Azure Data Factory. If you're new, thank you for joining, and if you've come before, welcome back. This is our last What's New live stream for the year of 2022, so we're really excited that you can be here today. As the year is winding down, we actually don't have too many updates, so we're going to show a few demos, walk through what's new in November, and kind of cover a few thank yous and some things to look forward for December. Awesome. And of course, at any point, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Let me type a little thingy right now. I should be able to see your comments or your questions, so I'll do my best to answer those as we go along. Awesome. Let's get started. So as usual, if you have been here before or if you're new, we do post our monthly updates on our Azure Data Factory blog. So if we go to the blog, you'll see a what's new based on the month. So you see October what's new, November what's new. It's really easy to find because they are a dark screen picture. So if you go through, you'll see all the other monthly blogs that are similar. Of course, there's also tags on them. I'll show you that in a little bit. So for example, in our November monthly blog, on the side, you'll see it's tagged with ADF monthly blog. So if you click on that tag, you'll be able to get to all of our monthly blogs very easily. So I just wanted to go through our November monthly update. You're in our live stream right now, but if you ever want to go back and watch our recordings, you can definitely join from here. For this month, the month of November, we had a few updates in CI/CD, data flow, data movement, and developer productivity. So the first thing was for CI/CD, you can now disable the publish button in the ADF Studio. So I will walk through that today to show you how you can easily enable that. This is a UX UI update, so you will see a grayed out publish button, but it is just for the ADF Studio. For data flow, we actually have some new improvements to SAP Change Data Capture. So I'll walk through these right now so you can kind of see what they're like. But so we've added the ability to enable incremental only. So this will allow you to get the changed data without actually having to go through initial full load, which is really awesome. So here in your source option, you'll see now you have full on the first run, then incremental, or you can add you can choose incremental changes only. So that's the third option in this dropdown now. There's also been performance updates. So now you actually have an extra option to set your partitioning, and you can connect to your SAP system in multiple sessions through parallel extracting data. So if you go to optimize and you decide to choose your own partitioning, you can choose from these partitioning types, and you can set the conditions for yourself. And we've added a new pipeline template in the template gallery. So this will help speed you up on your journey if you are uploading or loading big amounts of SAP objects. And we've linked to some descriptions of the template so you can kind of walk through the how-to guide on that. And hopefully that'll get you started much quicker on your SAP CDC journey. For data movement, Azure Databricks is now supported through Private Link through Data Factory's managed virtual network. So this is a new update that we have, and so if you use Azure Databricks now, you can use Private Link through Azure Data Factory. So that's really awesome. And then for developer productivity, I think this is something that we demoed last month. But just wanted to make sure that you all are aware. If you do have ADF Studio Preview experience enabled, there are 3 new UI updates that you can test out. Keep in mind, of course, with the studio preview experience, you can always turn it off if these updates are not what you are expecting. So these are all optional. But we do have this new dynamic content flyout, and I can show this to you guys all again today as well. But now you have a little flyout, so you can choose your dynamic content without actually having to go through the expression builder or having to see what the expression builder looks like when you're choosing your variables and everything. When you have dynamic content, you can just kind of choose very quickly from this list. For error messaging, we have moved the error messages to the status column. So there's not a separate column anymore. So in your status, if you have a failed activity, you'll see a new error bubble next to it, or a speech bubble next to that failed. So you can click on that really easily and get that error message right there. So you won't have to kind of search around for it. It should be right in front of you. And then, just wanted to say also for this failed message, this is also a view that you'll see in the monitoring view as well. So it's not just in your debug output, but it's also in your monitoring. And then also for monitoring, we now have this new container view. So previously, you might have seen that we've added the new container view to the Azure Studio for each items or iterations. And so you can actually see the activities within the containerized activity. And so now we're making it so that if it is nested inside of an activity, you can also collapse that in your monitoring view. So if you have lots of activities or lots of iterations going on in your pipeline, and you want to be able to easily see the activities on one page or in less pages than we have currently, you can collapse those nested objects under that parent activity. So that's a really cool thing that we added. And this is also in the monitoring view as well, not just for debug output. So those are our updates for the month of November. So if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And of course, we also have this updated on our What's New page. So if you just go to What's New in ADF in our docs, you'll be able to see for every month that we have in the past 6 months, you'll be able to see all of our updates. So if you just wanted to get the quick tagline and a doc link, come here. You can easily navigate to all of our docs from here as well to learn more. And once the live streams are complete, we will also add them to our What's New page, so it is easily accessible through our docs page as well. Awesome. Donald. By the way, I noticed that the ADF CDM copy data finally works for Power BI data flows. Oh, yes. I'm glad that is working for you. Yay. Awesome. So if no one has any questions, we can just kind of jump in and do some demos and see the What's New in action. And then we'll do a little celebration ditty for the end of the year. Cool. So what I wanted to show you first. So actually, this is something that isn't in our What's New blog, but is something that has been added to our studio recently that I think will be really helpful for people. But when you have a pipeline and say you have activities, you've built it out, blah, 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 and then you realize that you actually need to go back and edit it or add activities in it. Now we're making that super easy for you without actually having to delete a connection between two activities. We actually have this new handy dandy insert activity on that connection line. So now you can insert activities between things that are already connected. So if you just click insert activity, it'll bring down this drop down that we've shown you a little while back. And you can choose whatever activity that you were hoping to add in between. So maybe you need to set a variable before your data flow. And boom, it adds it right in between without you having to do very much. So this hopefully will help with some of your pipeline designing, especially if you have to go back and make changes. And it should make it a little bit easier for you without having to click on the line, delete it, and then switch it out, or add a new activity or whatnot. So that's really exciting. And also, if you don't know this before, or if you haven't seen this before, if you right-click on the connector line, you can easily change it to whatever you'd like it to be. So success, failure, completion, or skipped. So that way you don't have to go in and hit the delete button and then reconnect two activities. So those are some handy dandy things that we've updated to our studio. So you all should be able to do that now in your studio. Also, if you aren't aware of it yet, we do have an easier way to enable and disable the preview experience. So in your studio, you'll see a little toggle button on the top right-hand corner. And so if you toggle this on, you'll be able to enable the preview experience, and it'll list in some of the new items that we have. And if you would like to toggle it off, you just click off. Instead of having to go through settings and going through the toggle button here, you can just do it in your studio. That way, if there's something that you've tried out and you decide that you don't want to use it anymore, you can just easily turn it off. Or if there is something that you'd like to see in the monitoring, especially in those changes that I showed you, you can just toggle those on and see them in action. Cool. Does anyone have any questions about what I just showed? Hopefully it's helpful for you all. Definitely, if you have any feedback, we would love to hear it. So if you could give it a try and let us know on YouTube, through the comments, or on Twitter, or sometimes you'll get a little pop-up with feedback for ADF. We'd love to hear from you and see how we can improve the experience for you. Awesome. So what I also wanted to show you was for CI/CD. So if you have a Git repo, like an Azure DevOps Git or a GitHub repository enabled for your ADF, we do have this new setting down here called Publish from ADF Studio that you can edit, which will allow you to disable or enable this Publish button in the ADF Studio. So all you have to do is click Edit. And then once that happens, you just use the checkbox basically. So for example, if I were to do disable publish from ADF Studio and I apply it, you'll see right away that my publish button has now been grayed out. And so if you hover over it, it'll let you know what's going on. But it says, publishing from ADF Studio is disabled. So this will help avoid overwriting automated deployments. You can always go back into the settings and change it. Again, this is just a UI update, a UI fix so that you cannot publish. But if you wanted to enable it again, you just press edit and enable it again, and then you should be able to hit publish. Cool. Awesome. And then the last thing I wanted to reiterate is that we do have, so I guess what we've been talking about in the past month is that we do have new native CDC abilities for some of these connectors. So for example, for SAP, for SQL Database, SQL Server, SQL Managed Instance, and Cosmos DB, Cosmos DB SQL API, we have a new native change data capture available and mapping data flows. So again, it's super easy with a checkbox. And so before, you would only be able to use incremental columns, so almost like a watermark, and you would have to choose like a date column. If you now have it enabled in your SQL Server or for your SQL table, you can now choose these options that I also showed you in the blog for SAP. You can choose to do incremental changes only, or you have the option to do full on the first run and then incremental. And we also have, for other connectors, auto incremental extraction. So for example, if you have, this one is from my blob storage. you can easily enable change data capture, and you also have the option to choose your run mode. So again, you can choose incremental changes only, or you can do full on the first run and then incremental. This one, I think for some of our other connectors like Blob and ADLS, these are something that we had a little while back. So just kind of bringing that to top of mind again, just in case you hadn't seen it before. And, if you didn't have the native CDC enabled, you could also, again, you have the options to do incremental changes only or full in the first run, then incremental, but you would have to give us a date column. Awesome. Yeah, that's kind of all I had that I wanted to show you guys this week. Hopefully that these were really helpful for you in the last bits of this year. Please keep in mind that you can always see all of our updates in the studio here. So all of our release notes are in this little announcement icon that says updates. You'll be able to see some of the things that we are dropping every month before our monthly blog comes out here right in the ADF studio. So definitely keep checking this to make sure you're up to date on everything that we've been doing. And of course, if you ever need to get to the docs, you can, do a search online, or you can use our Learning Center. And so that's something new that we added this year as well. So just to show you, super easy to connect. Awesome. And before you guys all go, I just wanted to share with you this slide. And I know the top is a little bit funky, but we love our community. Here are some resources in case you didn't know about all these other things that we had. So there are a bunch of short links and shortcuts for you to get to things. So definitely keep up to date with us on Twitter, on our blogs, and on our YouTube channel. That's how we like to share information out to you and for you to be able to follow us very easily. Of course, we also have links to our Q&A where you can ask questions, and to Stack Overflow, to some of the things on our product page, so you can kind of keep these in mind. Our Quick Start, which has been updated recently, some learning paths, customer stories, and data integration in Box. So yeah, hopefully these links are helpful. And again, thank you for joining us throughout this year. I know we just started up these live streams again, but hopefully these are helpful. We're going to continue them in 2023. This year was especially huge for us. We actually made over 40 updates in the past 6 months, and even more throughout the entire year. And so all these changes that we've been making to ADF are from the feedback that we hear from you. So please continue to share out your ideas to us, because they are important for us to know how we can make this even better for you. It was also a huge year because we did hit over 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is awesome. Thank you guys all for supporting and liking our tutorials and letting us know what you want to see. We want to make everything super accessible for you, making sure that you are understanding all the new features that we have and different use cases. So continue to let us know what you'd like to see, and we will make those videos. And yeah, and before you go, if you have the time, drop in the chat what's on your wish list for next year. We definitely love to hear about that. If you don't get time to do it in the live chat, definitely leave a comment on our YouTube or tweet at us. Use a hashtag or like ADF wishlist or something like that. We'll check for it, and we'll keep that in mind for the upcoming year. But of course, we also would love to hear what your favorite updates were of this year and what you love about ADF. So also, if you could, we would love to hear that as well. We are going to be sharing out our end of the year video soon. So if you saw what we posted last year, we'll have a new celebration video for the year of 2022. So if you do share out your wish list and what your favorite updates are, on Twitter or on YouTube, you'll have the opportunity to be featured on our channel in that video. So anyway, thank you again for joining. Happy December. Hope you guys have happy holidays, and keep an eye out for some more posts on our socials and our end of the year video before the end of the year. But otherwise, yeah, just thank you all so much.